Hey, how we doing everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on a fragrance I've road tested for the past 3 days. The brand new release from Montblanc Explorer Extreme. So if you're at all interested in what I've got to say about this brand new release, then stick around. Yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys. Thanks for clicking on view. If an unbiased opinion from an average lad is what you're after, then you've come to the right place.
Please, come in, take off your shoes.
So Montblanc Explorer, being a very popular fragrance for the past, well, quite a few years now, really. We in the community, we know what it's doing, don't we? It's going after that Aventus DNA, only it's a little bit brighter, a little bit more versatile, a little bit more citric. But it's certainly going after that DNA, just like many more fragrances out there, and rightfully so. Creed Aventus smells great. You don't hear me talk about it much on the channel because, well, what is there to say that hasn't been said already? But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And Montblanc Explorer became popular for that very same reason. In fact, it was probably my signature scent before I got overwhelmed.
No one needs all these options. It's oppressive.
By the hobby and the amount of options and things they are out there. It certainly was something that I wore probably more often than anything else when I had a much smaller collection. And then unfortunately, as years passed, it became weaker, and to my mind now, the stuff that's available now, it's so diluted. It's either diluted or it's just been reformulated to a point where it's weak, really weak. I don't have a bottle anymore for that reason. So what was I expecting from this new release? What was I expecting from Montblanc Explorer Extreme? Well, before I seen the notes, when I just heard about it and all I seen was the bottle, I had two thoughts. It was maybe trying to go after a previous formulation of Aventus, some of that holy grail older batch stuff that, you know, people rave about and hold very dear, like the much smokier birch and the stronger scent in general, you know, the powerhouse that it once was.
Ooh, vintage.
So I thought that it could have been doing that, or might have been going after Aventus Absolute. Explorer Aventus, Explorer Extreme, Absolute Aventus. So how does it smell? Well, it smells very nice. Very nice. What does it smell like? Well, if you've been at all interested about this scent up to this point, and you visited, as many would call it now, Fragrantica, then you'll have noticed a lot of people compare it to Sauvage Elixir. It's not. Yes, there are some similarities, and strangely enough, all 3 times that I've wore this fragrance, or at least compared it with other things, all 3 times, you get that Sauvage pepperiness in the opening, and that fades back, and then what comes through is like an Absolute Aventus sort of like scent profile, but I think a little bit maybe earthier or greener, like even maybe a little dirty.
You dirty girl.
If you know what I mean, but not in an unpleasant way. And then that Sauvage Elixir comes back, and that's the point of where I'm at now. Very much so, in fact. But there's still that sort of fruity, pineapple-y, bergamot-y sort of, maybe even a little bit of ginger of the Absolute Aventus DNA poking through. It is sort of both things, but it isn't a straight up Sauvage Elixir clone. Don't listen to the people on there. It certainly is not. Both fragrance profiles of like the Sauvage, and it doesn't have the licoricey sort of coffee aspect of Sauvage Elixir. It doesn't have that. It's more just the pepperiness, really. Like the peppery spiciness of Sauvage Elixir. That's and the entirety of that, actually, like not just facets of those peppery spiciness, like almost the entirety of that. And you would say like Montblanc as well, but only that, only the peppery spiciness of that. And that's what you greeted with when you first spray it on. But almost immediately you can smell the sort of the fruitiness of the Absolute Aventus underneath it. And like I say, then the Sauvage Elixir sort of fades back, and most of what you smell is sort of that Absolute Aventus scent profile, but with some earthiness with it too. And then that Sauvage Elixir sort of overtakes it again. But in the dry down, it is pretty much only the Absolute Aventus. Yes, you can still pick up the pepperiness, the spiciness of what I would call the Sauvage Elixir spice, you know what I mean? But it carries that earthiness that I mentioned that you smell. It's quite dull in its performance, actually. It doesn't perform very well. It lasts okay. In fact, it lasts more than okay. It lasts quite well, but it doesn't project. You would need to be active, I would imagine, to be impressed enough with how much you notice it, you know, so it would radiate off you and you would be turning into your own scent trail. I do really like how it smells, but I would say it's sort of a hybrid. It's a hybrid of Sauvage Elixir and Absolute Aventus. I would say, considering the entirety of the wear, the life of the wearing experience, you'll probably notice Absolute Aventus more. But there are times where it smells more like Sauvage Elixir. I'm quite disappointed with the performance though, and you know me guys, I'm not the type of person to really get hung up on performance as long as it's logical.
Make it make sense.
If its profile suits its behaviour, then I've got no issues with it. But when a fragrance that smells like this, Sauvage Elixir and Absolute Aventus, you better perform. You better perform. You better be at least 50% beast mode. You know what I mean? I want to be feeling like I've got those things sprayed on me, not this. I wouldn't say that it's diabolical. You know, like I say, it does last a long time, but projection, it's pretty poor. Yeah, I'll go back to saying that you do smell the fruitiness. I think that's a stronger aspect of this fragrance, the fruitiness that you get from Absolute Aventus. I think it overshadows that pepperiness. I would need to wear this a few times properly before I could give you an honest rating. But on first impressions, it's probably a 6. And I'm being generous there because I was so disappointed with how much it doesn't radiate that it sort of cheesed me off a bit. But it does smell really good. It does smell really good. Like if you've got like Supremacy Collector's Edition or Club de Nuit Pressure or you know any of the Absolute Aventus inspired buys, you don't need this. You don't need it. You might want it, but you don't need it. And therefore, I would recommend waiting because Montblanc, pretty soon, you'll be able to pick this Explorer Extreme for like 45 quid or something like that. You know what I mean? But at the minute, I think it's about £90. Is it a good release? No, I don't think so. But yeah, I would say a 6. And I feel like I'm being generous giving it a 6 out of 10, guys. I do. Oh, I didn't even go over the listed notes, did I? So for the Explorer Extreme, bergamot in the top, patchouli and vetiver in the mid, and leather and amber the base. They're not identical. It's not identical to a mixture of the two things that I'm comparing them to either. Say there are differences, but you know, I'm trying to paint a picture in your head here.
Let me paint you a picture
Of what it smells like, and those are the two things that people will be familiar with that I'm using to compare it to. So some might say it's its own thing, but I don't think so. I think they've sort of put a twist on the Absolute Aventus DNA. And then, you know, when Aventus Absolute came out, people were saying it was just Aventus Sauvage Elixir hybrid. So there you go. I guess, you know, I guess people sort of pick things up differently. I didn't so much get that, but I sort of see where they're coming from. But this has more of that peppery spiciness from that Sauvage Elixir DNA than Absolute Aventus does, and that's why I chose to mention it. But yeah, that'll do it for today, guys. So thanks very much for tuning in once again. And if you're liking the content, specifically this video, make sure you hit the like button down below. Looks like that? Yeah? Give it a smash. And subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're already subscribed, make sure you hit that bell notification icon down there so that you can be notified next time I upload some silly nonsense. So until next time, guys, stay safe, keep smelling good. I'll see you again.